Hello, friends. The 11th chapter of my memoir is titled Enter Their World. I've come to conclude that this caregiving principle, enter their world, is foundational for all other caregiving principles. Until you can put yourself in the mindset of your loved one who is living with dementia, you will always struggle. You will always be an outsider, trying to bring them into your world, and you will fail because it does not work. Hello, I'm Dr. Renee Harmon. I'm the author of Surfing the Waves of Alzheimer's. It's a teaching memoir about my husband Harvey and his time with younger onset Alzheimer's disease. It details how it affected him, me, and our family. I call it a teaching memoir because it's structured around caregiving principles. Each chapter is titled one of these caregiving principles and illustrated with story and ends with discussion. And in this 11th chapter, Enter Their World, I use it to detail respite care and the two paid caregivers that we had. Both of those experiences showed me how seamlessly they entered Harvey's world, Harvey's reality, and interacted with him so beautifully. I learned a lot from them. I also learned a lot with the concept of play. So 30 years ago, the predominant caregiving principle was to reorient the patient to reality, to correct them, to bring them into reality and try to get them back to understanding the real world. Well, that only results in confusion and anger and frustration on the part of the person living with dementia as well as their caregiver. You have to, we know now, you have to try to enter their world and try to see the world from their perspective, from their reality. Only then can you interact constructively. So I came about this idea of play when I read Harvey's neurologist's note. He just made a quick note that Harvey seemed childlike. And I knew what he meant because Harvey at that time was childlike. In these office visits, he was very agreeable and just like a good, obedient little boy. So I took that to heart and started to wonder if I could interact with him as if he were a boy. So I dropped those 3-syllable words, I dropped the reasoning, and I began to play with him. And this really solidified with me when we had out-of-town visitors. So these were the same visitors that I told about a couple of weeks ago who came and helped us decorate our Christmas tree. So this same visit, we decided to go to the zoo. It was Zoo Light Safari, and we would go and see all the fantabulous lights and ride the train. Only it was very, very cold, and the line for the train was exceedingly long. We ducked into a gift shop to buy some hot cocoa so that we could stand in line and warm our hands while we waited for the train. Well, in the gift shop, our friend Kate spied these hats that were constructed to look like animal heads, and they were very warm. She found a giraffe hat and plopped it on Harvey's head and put a bear hat on her head. He loved it. And I cannot express enough how out of character it was for my once stolid, staid physician husband to be gallivanting around the zoo at night with a giraffe on his head while riding the kiddie train. But we loved it. We all loved it. All 4 of us dropped those pretenses and just played like children at the zoo. After that visit, I began to play with Harvey at home. I read stories with silly voices. We played simple card games. We danced and sang to his favorite Bruce Springsteen songs. And I played catch with him. So years ago, when our daughters were young, when Harvey played catch with them, if one of the girls couldn't catch the ball, didn't make a catch, he would say, "Oh, bad pitch." And if they threw wildly and he had to run, scramble to get the ball, he would call out, oh, bad catch. And they didn't understand that he was protecting their developing egos, but eventually they did, and it became an inside joke. And I found that I was using those phrases when I played catch with Harvey when he was in those middle stages of Alzheimer's disease. And I've come to realize since then, too, that as a caregiver, I made many bad pitches and bad catches. But as long as I was playing and interacting with Harvey where he was at the moment, our relationship would be lighter and easier. Thank you. Be well and keep your balance.